making a watermelon smoothie, and I will be wearing an apron and wash my hands. And first we have to chop up the watermelon and put it into chunks. And it wasn't that big of a watermelon. And then we put it in the freezer. But for the sake of time, I already have froze the watermelon and did all that. So I will do that. And I have this big thing to help me. And that was done. That was not enough. And now I'll be adding a half a cup of Greek yogurt. And you can choose any flavor you like, but it won't really show up. And that's about. That's about half a cup, and I'll add it into here. And after that, we will add the milk. So first we do this, and then we add the milk. Just, it looks dirty, but we add a cup of milk, and it looks dirty, but it's all gonna go on the same thing. So that's a cup, maybe. No. It like okay, I just spilled some. I'll clean that up after. Okay. And now we'll put on this. Okay, I think I put it on wrong. And now we turn it on and we put on puree. It's dirty, it's gonna get all over the place now. So I'm gonna have it in. I'll have to get a different straw, but yeah. And that's a watermelon smoothie. Thank you for watching.
Isabella, and it is my 5th year in 4-H, and I am a member of the Foul Play Poultry Club, and today I'm going to be making you baked mac and cheese. So first off, I put my hair into a low ponytail, got my apron on, and washed my hands. This will all help me be clean and help keep my food sanitary. Okay, so first we are going to boil my elbow noodles, and then since we've boiled my elbow noodles, we're going to need a sauce. And so in the sauce is milk, butter, cheese, flour, mustard, salt, paprika, and pepper. Once that's all combined, I will throw some breadcrumbs on top and then put it in the oven to bake.
This is a clip of me boiling my noodles.
Now that my pasta has been properly cooked and cooled, I'm gonna make my sauce. So first off, I'm gonna need 3 tablespoons of butter. So I'm gonna cut that. Add it to my pan, set that right there, and wait for it to melt. Okay, now that my butter has melted, I'm gonna throw in some flour, turn that down, salt, mustard, a shake of paprika for spice, and a shake of pepper for flavor. I'm now going to mix that all together until thickened. Now that I've created my roux, I'm going to add 2.5 cups of milk. Roux is a great thickener for gravy and stuff like that. So I'm going to add my 2 cups. And then I'm gonna add my 1/2 cup. Right now I'm using a liquid messenger, and that's easier to measure stuff and to get a more precise thing. Now I'm going to stir this in and let it thicken with a nylon whisk. Now that my roux has thickened, I'm going to turn off the heat, have that, put that right there, and now I'm going to start shredding my cheese. So I've shredded about 2 cups of my cheese, and I'm just going to finish that off by showing you. So I have a box grater, and we choose to grate our cheese in bulk because we want it as fresh as possible and we don't want it as like unfresh as the store. And so I'm going to grate. Okay, that's about right. Okay, now I'm going to move that aside. And I'm going to add this to our roux. You want to make sure to grate your cheese so then it's not so clumpy and it's easier to melt. Okay, now I'm going to take my whisk. I'm just going to whisk and whisk. Now that the cheese has melted, I'm going to tap this out, put it right there, and I'm going to switch to a rubber spatula. A rubber spatula is great for getting all the stuff out. Turn that around. Okay, and now I'm gonna take this, I'm gonna put it right here, and I'm gonna get ready to pour that into my macaroni. Ooh, that's hot. Okay. Gonna use that and see how it's getting everything out. Get around the sides, get right there. Good, good, good. Got it, almost everything. Make sure that doesn't drip. Okay, and then move that right there. Now I'm gonna take this, I'm just gonna mix it around. I don't wanna crush my pasta. And as you can see, I'm mixing it in the pan that I used to boil it in. This will help because it will minimize all the bowls I use and will minimize cleanup. Okay, now that that's all mixed, I'm gonna move this over. There. And I'm gonna take this and bring it over here. And I've buttered my dish, and it's a 9 by 9. Okay, now I'm gonna take this up right there. That'll help me put it into the hot oven. Okay, I'm gonna take it out and I'm gonna carefully pour. I'm gonna use my rubber spatula once again. I'm gonna pour. Get all those noodles out there. Okay, put that right there. Grab that. And I'm gonna use my rubber spatula to kind of just smooth that out, trying to get it flat and presentable. Okay. Now that it's flat, I'm gonna take my cup of cheese and I'm gonna sprinkle it on top. This will help get a nice crusty feeling when I bake it. Okay, take all that. Perfect. And now I'm gonna take my breadcrumbs. And there's no real measurement with this. You're just gonna wanna sprinkle some on top. You can do as much as you want, as little as you want. It really doesn't matter. You don't even have to put them on if you don't want them. Just gonna get those all on there. I like a lot, but you may not. Okay, now that those are all on there, I'm gonna get on my safety mitts. Now I'm gonna open up my oven. This oven is really hot, so you wanna make sure to either have adult supervision and you want mitts. And I'm just gonna slide that in there for 25 to 30 minutes. It's about time for my timer to go off, and it's giving me a great time to clean up and prepare my other meals, which is hamburgers and salads. Okay, I'm gonna hit the off on that. Now I'm gonna carefully open up my oven, grab my macaroni and cheese, nice and crispy with all those little crispy things on it. I'm gonna sit that right there on my heat pad, set it, and close it up. Okay, now I can take off my safety mitts and I can scoop out a nice little portion. It is still very hot, so you still want to be careful. Look at that. Wish you were here. Hello everybody, my name is Olivia Abner. This is my 7th year in 4-H as well as food preparation. And I'm a part of the Foul Play Poultry Club. The dish we are making today, or breakfast recipe, is bellinis. They originate from Germany and Russia, somewhere in Eastern Europe. And I'm going to give you a rundown of everything that is going to be included today. We have butter, eggs, flour, avocado oil, some milk and stewed beef, as well as salt and pepper, and cheese and sour cream for toppings. The onions I'm going to be using today are actually from our garden. Of course, if you're in January or sometime in winter where you can't access onions freshly, then I understand if you need to get them from the store, but I just decided to use them in today's dish. So the first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and get my onions caramelized. This includes putting about 2 tablespoons of butter in my pan and setting it on a low heat, just so they won't get burned. I've already cut up my onions, but I did include the greens since they taste the same as the onion. I used 1 onion in total. I'm going to set this on a low heat. Put my butter in the pan. This does not have to be actually completely melted yet, so it's just easier to just put it all and let it do its thing. Onions are a great way to add flavor in your dish, especially if you're using really strong flavors such as beef. The next thing I'm going to get started on is my bellinis. For my bellinis, I am using a dish with a spout just so it's easier to pour. And for my griddle, I am going to be using avocado oil to grease my pan. You can use that, or you can just use spray cooking oil. I'm going to first add my milk, which is 2 cups. And another thing about cooking that's really, really important is creating a safe, sanitary space for you to cook. And because I am using a knife today, I chose to wear closed-toed shoes. So I added my 2 cups of milk. Now I'm going to add my 1.5 cup of flour. See, I've already measured my flour just to save time. But a trick you can have when measuring things such as flour or sugar or just loose material is using a butter knife. So you scoop your flour up and then you can level it. This makes for a great way so it doesn't get overly packed down and so it's just the right amount. Because I know there can be some dry pockets sometimes. So now that I've added that, I am going to add my eggs. I have 2 eggs today. Eggs are a great source of protein, and as well as something that just can help be the glue for all of this. Another thing with eggs that is really important is being able to wipe off your hands in between using them because they are a raw material, and so is flour. So it's important, if you're cooking with flour in a bakeless recipe, you want to heat treat that. Next, I'm going to add my slightly melted butter. It does not have to be completely melted, although it can help make the mixture smoother if you have a manual whisk rather than an automatic one. The other thing I'm going to add is my sugar. This gives it a very soft texture, as well as just something else for it to taste. I'm going to be adding 1 tablespoon of white sugar. And I am going to be using my trick of using the back of a butter knife. So you just fill it up even over the top, scrape it off, just pour it in. How simple is that, right? So now I'm going to mix my everything together. So I've just completed mixing up my bellini batter, and I mixed it to, well, it gets to a nice smooth consistency. Perfect for putting on the griddle, just similar to pancakes, and make sure there's no clumps in it as well. The next thing I'm going to be doing, because our onions have been caramelizing simultaneously with whatever else we've been up to, I'm going to add my stewed beef.
we did use USDA guidelines to make this, and I'd recommend using stewed beef instead of boiling your own prior to making your bellinis, just because it's easier and it allows more time to, talk to guests and maybe enjoy a cup of tea or coffee. So I am going to be adding my thing. And when it gets in there, I will be, kind of pulling it apart because it is so fork tender. I am using a wooden spoon with this pan so it doesn't scrape the bottom of it either. You can add whatever spices you would like to kind of meld with your taste. I just kind of went with a simple salt and pepper mix, but whatever floats your boat. And in addition to this, I did put avocado oil on my griddle. We are so fortunate to have a griddle as well as a griddle, burner that runs up the middle of our oven. This makes it easier to distribute heat. I used avocado oil instead of, normal vegetable oil just because it's healthier. And it doesn't burn at such a high heat, so it doesn't smoke up the kitchen a lot. Next, I'm going to pour my bellini. You can make them as small as you want or as large as you want. I typically make them around this size just so you can have more. And if someone doesn't want to eat a huge one or would rather eat two kind of medium ones or small ones rather than a couple of huge ones, it just allows for different taste preferences. So not only have I poured my bellinis, but I've added my salt and pepper to my 2 cups or pint of beef. And I do want to mix my beef around just so those onions don't burn and my beef can just converge with the taste and textures. So I am going to flip my bellinis. They do cook for, I don't know, it just kind of depends on your heat settings. Okay. And they do look blonde, but they are done. It's only because it's such a light mixture. Okay. It's a bit of a mix. Okay. Looks great. So after this, I have been cooking these for a bit. So these are done as well. And now I'm going to serve my bellinis up for you and show you how it works. So in the background, I have been making tea, which is great to serve with this. And my beef, I'm going to turn it off, pick it up, center my bellini, and kind of put enough just to fill the middle. Depending on how much you or your family members would like to eat, you can just base that off of whatever. And then you kind of push it to the middle. And if you would like to add cheese or sour cream, totally recommend doing so because it makes it just taste so much better. I'm going to add cheese because personally, I think it's delicious. And I'm going to add some fresh onion as well, just to top it off and give it of that crunch flavor back. And to keep your bellinis from, falling apart, I use a toothpick, or you could fold it if you have very large bellinis. Bellinis taste great with peaches or yogurt, fresh with oats. And I'm just so excited you guys could come and cook with me today. I know you guys aren't here, but at least you guys can make them from home now. So, bye!